We're still waiting for the initial jobless claims number, though. The expectation was for 2.5 million. That would be less bad. It comes out about 2.98 million. So worse than estimated, but still down sequentially as we try and suss out, have we reached the worst part of the unemployment picture, and then we can base around here before we start to recover. That the question in the market. Now, typically we wind up shoving off all bad data from the U.S. We take a look at, though, at S&P futures. They're off by about 22 points, but the tape was really bad. So we'll look and see how the market digests this. Michael McKee, Bloomberg International Economics and Policy Correspondent, with me as always to break down the data. Mike, your reaction to the number?
This isn't particularly good news because the number comes in significantly higher than we had anticipated. It may mean that states are catching up on backlog jobless claims, or it may mean more people are filing jobless claims. It's hard to disentangle the two right now. I'm looking at the continuing claims number, and that didn't rise nearly as much as we thought it would. It was 22,647,000. That was last week revised lower to 22,377, and now it's 22,833. All of that means that there aren't as many people who are getting checks right now as perhaps we would anticipate. If you add up all the jobless claims, the initial claims, you're over 36 million. So there is a missing component here, people who haven't gotten checks, or possibly people who have gone back to work because the Paycheck Protection Program has allowed them to be rehired. It's going to take a long time for us to be able to sort all this out, Alex. And in the meantime, all we can do is kind of look at this and say things are still bad. And while we've come down, we're still experiencing the results of a very terrible recession.
Yeah, so they're still bad, maybe just not worse. Maybe we can look at it that way. S&P futures still off by about 23 points. And I also wonder, too, Mike, when we had this risk-off feel, how much the rhetoric over China and the U.S. with President Trump's interview this morning, how much that also just plays into the market trading heavy when we seem to be digesting economic bad news relatively well.
There's a lot going on because you've also got those investors like Stan Druckenmiller and David Tepper who are saying overnight that the market may be overvalued. So a lot for investors to think about. And you got to wonder whether this China thing is going to start weighing on the markets, because on the one hand, the president, with a lot of commentary this morning about how the relationship with China and his own personal relationship, which he's always touted with Xi Jinping, has gotten worse. And yet, just yesterday, he was talking about how the Chinese are starting to buy the things they said they would buy in the Phase 1 trade agreement. So does the market respond to the rhetoric or the reality, and does that reality continue? All that is something that the market has to figure in over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Mike, thanks a lot. Appreciate you breaking it down with me. Bloomberg's Michael McKee. And joining me now for a bigger view of the jobs market as well as relationships with China, Ravin, Gandhi, GMM Nonstick Coatings founder and CEO. He joins me now. The company provides coatings for the world's biggest makers of pots, pans, and bakeware, essential day-to-day stuff. Ravin, let me start with the job picture. For your company, what have you done? Have you hired? Have you furloughed? Have you fired? Have you increased wages? Have you taken away pay? Can you give me an insight, please?
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of the fact that we haven't furloughed anybody. We've not fired anybody. Because we do have a large operation in China, we were kind of the canary in the coal mine. We started to see in January that this virus was going to be a far bigger story than people realized. So we put a furlough on hiring at that point across all of our various locations. And at the moment, we're expecting to not do any hiring until the end of Q2. At that point, like so many other businesses, we are going to reassess the economy, our client demand, and then see if we're going to change that policy.